Anyways, let's continue on with the show. So RFK Jr. decided that he wanted to endorse Trump for president of the United States of America. RFK Jr. decided that he wanted to endorse Trump for president of the United States of America, and it pissed people off. It absolutely pissed people off. His own family have disowned him before he even decided to go independent. Let's get into it.
And joining us now is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Shannon, thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. You and President Trump not always fans of each other. He posted on social media earlier this year, he's one of the most liberal lunatics ever to run for office. A phony radical left fool whose poll numbers are terrible and getting worse. The New Yorker said just a couple of weeks ago this: in a recent text exchange, Kennedy told one person that Trump was a terrible human being, the worst president ever and barely human. He is probably a sociopath. Now, I haven't read your text, so you can speak to that, but how did you get from that position to Friday night?
Well, you know, it became clear to me that I did not have a path to victory. 16 months of censorship, of not being able to get on any network really except for Fox. And I had, in fact, when Ross Perot ran, in the 10 months that he ran, he had 34 appearances on the networks. I had 2 appearances in 16 months. So I was blocked out from the networks. I was blocked out from the debate. I had no path to victory. President Trump had been reaching out to me. And I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt, and we had a long conversation by phone. I then had 2 extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broad issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree. But these issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
It's a good unifying theme that I think a lot of people could get around. It's how we get there. That's always the devil is in the details. Have you all negotiated over or talked about a cabinet position, another position within a Trump government in exchange for your endorsement?
No, there's been no commitments. But I met with President Trump, with his family, with his closer advisors, and we just made a general commitment that we were going to work together.
What about the states where you're trying to get off of a number of swing state ballots to say, I'm going to stay on a number of state ballots, but in these swing states, I'm going to try to withdraw myself and ask my supporters, or at least you're telling them, think about supporting President Trump. Did you negotiate over which states you would try to withdraw from?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew which states they were. There basically is 10 swing states where my presence in the race would have helped Vice President Harris.
So it's all a play, right? Because a lot of people are saying that this is a big coup for Trump because his staying in the race ultimately affected Trump, because most people that supported, or most people that would support Trump, also is taking a look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right? But when you start to think about, because automatically it affects the Harris campaign, which is one of the reasons why they were actually having closed doors meetings with the Harris campaign also. They were trying to get him to endorse Kamala Harris because it absolutely hurts her in the swing states. If you will have a bunch of undecided voters, it really doesn't matter what happens in California. It doesn't matter what happens in New York. One of the things that they're already projecting is that they're saying that Kamala Harris is already going to win a popular vote. Kamala Harris is already going to win a popular vote. Why? Because most people that live in these Democratic hellholes or in these blue states that they already know is going to fight for or is already going to vote for Kamala Harris, they're not tripping about it. And so when you take New York, that got 8 million people over in New York and it's Democratic hellhole, you take the people over there in LA, right? And in California, we know, even though they may have the suburbs that have people that actually care about their states and their cities, we know that the suburbs may turn red, but in a general sense, you already know that New York and California is already going to be blue. So if the majority of the population live in these densely populated urban communities, okay, well, she going to win the popular vote. But does that actually represent the best interest of America, which is one of the reasons why you have the Electoral College, right? And they take away the amount of delegates that you have in certain spaces depending on the population and how these districts are drawn. So now what he's basically saying is, with my endorsement with Trump, because I actually met with him, similarly to how black people met with Trump, and they're asking for things. And so one of the things that he's asking for, and I think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a genuine person, and that's one of the reasons why he resonates with people, not just with his background and his family, but he resonates with people because he truly cares about the health of young people and children and all of this other stuff. And I don't know if it's just because of his own life experiences of what he's went through as far as why his voice sounds the way it sounds and everything like that. But he's basically saying, listen, you guys can vote for me in these states that don't even matter. Long story short. But in the swing states, I'm going to remove myself off the ballot and I'm going to tell you to vote red because I think that this is the party and Trump himself more closely aligned with my values instead of what's being sold to you by the Democratic Party. Now, why would he say that?
And would have harmed President Trump. So I'm going to get off the ballot in those states, and then we're going to stay on the ballot in 30 states. And, I'm encouraging people to vote for me in those states. Those are states where the votes, they're either all red or all blue states where their votes are not going to change the outcome of the race.
Read that super chat shortly.
But in the states where I would have been a spoiler, I'm going to get out. So it's about 10 states.
Okay, so there were reports a couple weeks ago citing an official from your camp and also a Democratic official saying that there had been outreach to the Harris camp as well to possibly discuss you working within the Harris administration in exchange for an endorsement of her. Is that true? And what happened with that?
I reached out to them on the same basis that I reached out to President Trump, and we actually talked to other presidential candidates, including Chase Oliver and the Libertarian Party, about figuring out ways that we could end the polarization and the hatred and the vitriol, start talking about issues. And I was welcome to listen to anything from the Democrats that they were going to do something about the war, about the Ukraine war, about the censorship, about the child health crisis, this epidemic of chronic disease that has now disabled about 60% of our kids. And when my uncle was President Shannon, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, over 60% do. And it's hard to find a kid today that's not been damaged by it. And it's coming from our food supply, from pollution in our environment, from toxics in our environment, and mainly from corruption in our government that allows that to happen.
You've talked about, or there's been...
So what he's basically saying is, listen, he reached out to the Harris campaign at the same time that he reached out to the Trump campaign, and he couldn't really get in touch with anybody from the Harris campaign in order to speak with her about the issues that were most passionate to him, which one of them being our food supply, which I think is a big issue, pollution in this country, and he's substantiating his argument by saying that when his father was president, it was only a 6% chronic health problem amongst children in our country. Now it's over 60% and growing, and you cannot find a kid that don't have a chronic health problem since inception or since birth. And he said that, listen, the Trump campaign was willing to work with me and they was willing to hear me out. And the Harris campaign, it was like, we ain't really trying to hear what you got to say. Have a nice life with your voice, big dog.
Discussion that if you were to join the Trump administration in some health-related position, that you have real interest in dismantling things like the FDA, the CDC, NIH. You would like to see a focus away from infectious diseases to what you're talking about, more chronic diseases. Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies.
RFK, now I see why these big donors don't want him in the office. hey, I thought that they killed pharmaceutical companies. I thought that they beat pharmaceutical companies. Hold on, wait. Let's say that again. I thought that they beat Big Pharma. Let me see this again.
Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies.
I thought that they said they took on and they beat Big Pharma. Ain't that a part of both Biden and Harris's speeches? That they took on and they beat Big Pharma. What you think, that pharmaceutical companies is only invested in giving y'all the blue chews and stuff like that? He know too much, Mr. EO. He know too much. What they said during the Democratic National Convention is that they took on and they beat Big Pharma. That's what I heard. That's what I seen. That's what they said that they did. They said that they did it during her tenure. They did it during his tenure. That they beat Big Pharma.
That is a perverse incentive. In NIH, scientists and officials in NIH who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from those products. These are regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. Everybody, the most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody's making money. The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA, out of NIH, out of CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
I'm going to go back to your decision from Friday.
He knows he's talking too much. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Listen, RFK, you not going to be in here messing up the money. You not going to come in here and be upsetting these good folk money. Hoppo, who this man? RFK, you think that America is truly about helping the people. America is about profits, baby. We haven't forgot our morals. We haven't, listen, since the Santa Maria, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria was over here. The thing that we cared about amongst all, listen, we'd kick it with the Indians. Unless they want to start messing up the money. No, you know what? They messing up, hey, General Colonel Sanders. Hey, Colonel Sanders. Navajo over here think that he gonna mess up the money of what we got going on over here. Now we trying to figure out where to grow the good crops at, because we trying to establish some trade canals back with the home country over here. Now, General Navajo over here, are you willing to concede? We'll give you some furs, we'll give you some golds, we'll give you some guns, we'll give you a lot of different things. We'll set you up over there good and plenty over there on that land over there. But the one thing you ain't, so you're not going to concede? Let's give them some chicken pox and some blankets. We're going to tell them that we're going to give them some blankets so they don't be cold no more. We're going to give them some chicken pox. We're going to give them some chicken pox. Listen, bro, let me tell you something. At the end of the day, you can have your own little side quest that you got going on over here. You got your own little side quest that you got going on over there, but you're not going to mess up the money. We're going to give the illusion that we're going to go after the big corporations, but we're not going to mess up the money. Hey, Big Pharma over there. You do know that the people is getting a little bit upset at this opioid crisis, so we're going to have to give you a slap on the wrist over there, but you can hide your left hand. Just give me your right hand, give you a little slap. Who going to be the sacrificial lamb over there? Okay, give you a little slap on this hand.
Both you and Nicole Shanahan, your running mate, have talked about how you feel like the Democrats completely mistreated you, excluded you from the process. How much of your decision Friday is about revenge or motivated by punishing Democrats in some way?
Zero. I don't act in anything in my life. I don't act out of anger or revenge or resentment. It's a bad motivation. It's like swallowing poison and hoping someone else will die. And so I don't do it. I am very pragmatic and practical, and I am focused on one thing, which is how do we restore health for our children? And
Oh, you can forget it. That's big money. Your child needs to go to the doctor. They need to pay these insurance premiums. Nobody is trying to end and give y'all good health. It's big money, and listen, it's big money. Shout out to RFK Jr. Let me tell you something. It's huge, big money in suffering. Suffering is where the money is at. I can't make no money off the death. We need to keep you alive. Hey, keep them pumping them up with drugs. Give them some insulin. We're gonna put 35. We're gonna put 30. I'm starting to talk like RFK Jr. We're gonna put $35 cap on the insulin. All right. Because we gotta make sure that we keep these people alive. All right, we're gonna put some signs on the cigarette packs until we can get them transitioned. We're gonna legalize trees. We're gonna legalize that good old puff pass. We're gonna make some money off that. We're gonna legalize it, and we're gonna also treat the problems that come along with the issues that they wind up having, and then we're gonna let them pass some diseases. I know over there in Houston, y'all giving 2-for-1 herpes and chlamydia at the same time. We're gonna let the people, because we need more nurses. We got to have jobs, insurance companies. We got to make sure that we get these pharmaceutical companies over here treating the problems. We not solving for HIV. We're treating it until you're no longer showing signs of HIV. But you have to stay on the medicine for your entire life. Let me say that again. We're not treating and solving and curing. There is no cure for this thing, all right? But what we can do in your herpes outbreak, we can make sure that you're non-active. Is that the word for it? Non-active? Listen, we're going to go ahead and put this inside of the food. Let me stop. I don't know nothing. I'm just talking. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know the words that's coming out of my mouth. Let me read